This is a comic book movie. This is a superhero movie. Can you spot the difference? With Marvel unveiling Phase 4 of the MCU, the world of film criticism will once again start arguing about whether or not people are going to get tired of superhero movies. This debate has been going on since Spiderman 2 was released, but what frustrates me about this whole argument is that both sides are wrong, and for one simple reason. Most of the movies these people are talking about aren't superhero movies. Now, at this point, you're probably like, Pentex, what are you talking about? These are movies about comic book characters who wear tights and capes and have names like Hawkeye and Aquaman. Of course they're superhero movies. Well, no. It's what makes them comic book movies. It doesn't make them superhero movies. To explain this, we need to talk about genre. You know what genre is. Western, sci-fi, horror, fantasy, action, historical epic, war, you get it. It's Media Studies 101, but defining genre is not an easy thing to do. To take one example, let's look at Shaun of the Dead. This movie uses a huge amount of genre tropes from zombie, apocalyptic, and horror movies, but subverts the audience's expectations of them to make it a comedy. It looks like a horror movie, but if you look at the story, it's actually a rom-com with zombies. Shaun of the Dead intentionally takes advantage of the fact that we tend to rely on a few well-worn genre tropes when categorizing films, and because film is a visual medium, most of these tropes come from the aesthetics of the movie. Think about it. It's on a spaceship and there are aliens? Sci-fi. Suits, Tommy guns, and the 1940s? Mob flick. Or it's about comic book characters who wear tights and capes and have names like Hawkeye and Aquaman. Superhero movie. But genre is deeper than that, and most films don't fit neatly into one category. And my argument is that most of the movies in the Marvel and DC properties that we have seen in the last 20 years or so might be comic book movies, and they might have tropes from the superhero movie genre, but they are not all superhero movies. So let's answer the obvious question first. What is a superhero movie? Well, most genres have that one iconic movie that defined the genre and established the tropes that every other movie would follow. Psycho is the iconic slasher horror film. Goldfinger set the standard for spy movies with gadgets and exotic locations. 2001: A Space Odyssey revolutionized sci-fi and paved the way for Star Wars. For superhero movies, the gold standard is Richard Donner's 1978 masterpiece, Superman. To this day, Superman is the most iconic and genre-defining superhero movie ever made. Not only did it make significant filmmaking innovations and special effects, seriously, this looks quaint now, but it was groundbreaking at the time. But this film changed the superhero movie genre forever. From a production perspective, it brought A-list talent to the film. See, until this time, the standard of superhero movies was this.
Hand me down the shark repellent bat spray!
Somehow I can't see Laurence Olivier doing that. So getting actors like Marlon Brando and Gene Hackman to star was a big deal. And the talent extended to behind the camera as well. Mario Puzo wrote the script. You know, the guy who wrote the novel and screenplay for The Godfather. John Barry, whose other credits include A Clockwork Orange and Star Wars, came on as production designer. The cinematographer was no less than 2001: A Space Odyssey's Jeffrey Unsworth. And of course, just a year after Star Wars, John Williams composed one of the most iconic movie scores ever. Superman brought superhero movies firmly into the mainstream and showed that with the right people behind them, they could be genuine pieces of cinema. But Superman's true legacy in defining the superhero genre was in its story and themes. Firstly, Superman is an origin story about Clark Kent's journey to becoming the Man of Steel. He learns his powers and grows as a character through the guiding words of his mentor, and at the halfway mark, he dons the iconic suit. But more importantly, it introduced film audiences to the idea that there could be tension between a superhero's real life and their superhero alter ego. Amidst the heroics in trying to stop Lex Luthor, we see Superman struggle to balance this with his personal life as Clark Kent while he falls in love with Lois Lane. This gives the character depth and an internal challenge to overcome that humanized the hero and made his story more compelling. This one shot, where you see Clark become Superman just by the change of posture, perfectly captures the tension between his two identities. That struggle is the heart of the superhero movie genre. So for me, if you're talking about a superhero movie, this is the film you need to compare yourself to. Now, a lot of movies do fit neatly into this genre. Tim Burton's Batman deserves a mention for giving the formula more visual flourish, but there's no question that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is the most genre-defining superhero movie after Superman. It modernized the genre and set a new standard for the 21st century, but it still follows the same genre tropes and superhero movie beats that Superman did. Other films that are unquestionably superhero movies as defined by Superman are Batman Begins, Captain America, and of course, Man of Steel. All of these movies focus clearly on a central hero and follow their journey as they become that hero, overcome the personal challenges that choice entails, and defeat the villain. They have a mentor figure whose advice defines who the hero will become, as well as a romantic interest who often becomes a damsel in distress on more than one occasion. Now notice how very little of what makes up this genre is visual. All of these movies have very different tones and production design, but all follow the same character moments and story beats. But lots of movies follow this hero's journey formula, so what makes a superhero movie special? Well, before we go any further, ask yourself one question. What makes a superhero? Well, it's not them having superpowers, because if it was, then Iron Man and Batman wouldn't be superheroes. But then why isn't James Bond a superhero? But at the same time, just having superpowers doesn't make you a superhero. If this alone was enough, then why don't we think of Obi-Wan Kenobi as a superhero? Is Neo a superhero? What about Gandalf? No, the thing that defines a superhero is what they represent. They represent justice, hope, and an ideal to strive towards. And what defines a superhero movie is the struggle the hero faces trying to live up to this ideal. This
They can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way.
is the same idea as this.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Which is the same idea as this.
As a man, no flesh and blood, I can be ignored, I can be destroyed, but as a symbol, I can be incorruptible.
Which is actually the same idea as this.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off, what are you?
This theme is what defines the superhero movie genre and what separates superhero movies from the broader genre of comic book movies. This is why sequels often aren't superhero movies. The core of the genre lies in the origin story of the character learning to become the hero. The themes of sequels tend to be broader than this, and new conflicts are introduced for the hero to overcome. This is also why ensemble movies are not superhero movies. The main conflict in the superhero movie needs to be the hero's internal struggle with becoming their heroic self, and embodying this ideal. In ensemble movies, the character conflict tends to be between members of the group, and the theme is one of the characters learning to work together, rather than one person's journey to becoming a symbol of hope. See, just because the movie has superheroes in it does not automatically make it a superhero movie. Is a movie a western just because the main character is a cowboy? Is a movie a horror just because it has zombies in it? Simply having superheroes is not enough. The core of this genre lies in the themes and characters, and is conveyed through a well-defined story structure. So the reason we need to stop talking about superhero movies is because, for the most part, they're not actually making that many superhero movies. In the 20 years since Spider-Man came out in 2001, there have been about 90 live-action, mainstream English-language movies released that have superhero characters, plus a bunch of animated ones. These are all comic book movies, but I would say only a handful are true superhero movies. Most of them, especially in the MCU, are primarily of another genre. Spider-Man Homecoming is a teen drama with some action. The Winter Soldier is a political thriller. Captain Marvel is a sci-fi. Endgame is a heist movie, or rather, a time heist movie. It's true outside the MCU as well. Deadpool is a slapstick comedy. The Dark Knight is a crime drama. Wonder Woman is a war film. Logan is a western. I could go on. This is why audiences aren't getting superhero fatigue. Yes, there are lots of movies with superheroes in them, but they're not superhero movies. Each one offers something different, so they appeal to different people in different ways. Calling them all superhero movies is too simplistic, and it undersells the diversity of these films. If Marvel released 20 movies with the Superman or Spider-Man formula, then trust me, people would get sick of them. Seriously, do you want to watch the Wayne family get murdered again? Part of the success of the MCU is that they have been able to broaden what it is possible to achieve with these characters when they are no longer confined to the superhero movie structure and genre tropes established by Superman. Because they're not confined to the superhero movie genre, they can keep innovating, try new things, and bring in more diverse characters and ideas. I mean, Logan and Joker showed just how influential the MCU has been in diversifying the kinds of movies you can make with superhero characters. So looking ahead to Phase 4, it looks like Marvel are going to keep surprising us and pushing the boundaries of what you can do with a superhero character. Just don't call them superhero movies. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching, and a huge welcome to the channel if you're a new subscriber. You guys are all superheroes to me. I'm sure this video will cause some debate, so please let me know what you think and share it around if you know someone who might like it. See you next time.